I literally just recorded like a 20-minute recap of what happened because I realized as soon as I hopped on to start putting all my clips together to post this journal entry on YouTube that my screen recordings from last night's trade was recording my second monitor, and I was talking about that at the beginning of this recap to like post a video, and then I went through and explained everything, and then I and then I realized I was still recording the second monitor. So, all right, part two. So I did end up taking a trade last night, which, uh, like I just said, I was recording on my second monitor, so you weren't able to see any of it, which really sucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, let's go over it. I can't believe I just did that. Anyways, so I was trading Monday, November 10th. Obviously, no news. We do have Veterans Day tomorrow. Granted, there is London news, but I'm not going to be trading because it's going to be a holiday. No news Wednesday. CPI and PPI are tentative for Thursday, Friday. So right now, I'm not planning on trading Thursday, Friday. My only next trading day is going to be Wednesday. Um, Unless by the time I get to London session on Thursday, if CPI and PPI are removed from this calendar and delayed, right, pushed back to come out a different day, next week obviously, or maybe the week after that, who knows, then I'll be looking to trade Thursday, Friday, as long as it's like warranted, like as long as there's actually a setup, right, and price action looks good. But yeah, so traded Monday, November 10th, no news. I did actually take the trade. You can see I made 0.5% here. I'll get into that, why it was so low, even though it was a 1 to 1.8 risk reward ratio. On top of that, I can also open this. You can see balance, max loss limit, changed from 2,000, which would be 4%, to the difference now after my profits are made. Yeah. So, wait, let me change this. Bang. I feel like this is so zoomed in. I want to like zoom it out, but I just need more trades, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, 0.5% made off of risking a little over 1/4%. I risked 0.3%, so let's get into it. Let me delete everything. Okay, DXY monthly. We had just taken this monthly short-term high, right? And we are around the halfway mark of the month. So I'm looking at this as this could be the high of the month made, right, for a bearish dollar. But I'm not sure about that anymore. That's what I was thinking about last night. But when I woke up this morning, I saw Trump tweeted something about giving every American citizen except for the high income class $2,000 because of how well the tariffs are doing, and then he wants to start tackling the national debt. And he said that 401ks are at an all-time high or something like that. He basically said the U.S. is doing really good, right? So I'm thinking that that's obviously bullish for the dollar, but it's kind of contradicting the expected rate cut in December, right? Because everybody's kind of expecting the rate cut to happen in December as well. So that's kind of my ideology behind why I'm expecting bearish dollar here, because kind of like we did with the earlier rate cut, how we priced it in before it happened, and then when it actually came out, we were bullish. I'm expecting a similar thing to happen here, especially since we just took a giant buy side liquidity pool, right? Um, but now that Trump said what he said, I mean, I don't know. We could just be continuing bullish. Uh, Either way, it doesn't really matter to me what it ends up doing right now. The only thing that matters is what it looks like it's going to do when it's time for me to trade, right? So as of right now, I don't really know what's going to happen. Order flow wise, we did just change to bearish order flow on the daily after taking a monthly short-term high. So I feel like, and I think, is this, oh no, this is just a wild new day opening gap. Um, but yeah, lower time frame, changing the state of delivery after taking a higher time frame pool of liquidity. I mean, I feel like that's grounds for decent long-term bearishness. I mean, at the very least, we have this 20-day look back here from this change in the state of delivery, this high to this low. I would say this low is on the table, right? In that case, but who knows? So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Weekly also, previous week closed extremely bearish, obviously, so I'm looking for a continuation in that. Daily, I was initially wanting it to tap into this daily for value gap, but then by the time it got to London session, it was just way too far. And when I looked at it on the 1 hour, I'm like, yeah, no way London alone is going to tap into that and then give me a shorting opportunity, right? So I kind of ignored that, and then I saw this suspension block right here. And I was like, okay, cool. We are, like, we had already wicked that in Asia, right? Day open, new week open actually, tapped into it, started trading away. And then what I also realized was that we had also just wicked this new week opening gap, which I find more important than the suspension blocks. So if we go back to the 1 hour, you can see new week opening, boom, tapped into it, Asia retests it. And yeah, so that was my main stage. We also had a 4 hour for value gap we were working on, right? So direction, bearish, because we just had a daily change in the state of delivery, and then Asia was already coming from this new week opening gap inside of this 4 hour for value gap. So stage, new week opening gap, 4 hour for value gap. Scenario for Asia was a little weird because it doesn't look like an expansion, even though we have this 1 hour redelivered rebalance right here, right? And my rules say that if there's a 1 hour redelivered rebalance or a 1 hour for value gap, then that's generally classifying the scenario to be Asia expansion, which calls for an Asia to London OTE entry, right? But like I said, it just is not clean. Like, this just straight up doesn't look like any of my other Asia expansion scenarios, right? So I was looking at it more so as an Asia consolidation, but even that, it's like, okay, it didn't move enough to be Asia expansion, but then it also didn't move too little to be a consolidation. So I kind of threw away the scenario here, which is fine, and was just going purely off of the stage, which, I mean, even in an Asia consolidation, I mainly go off of the stage anyways, right? Like a 4 hour PD array or, some sort of PD array, right? So yeah, after I saw that we had retested this and we were coming from this 4 hour for value gap, we had just retested that right before London opened. Yep, right here. I was like, all right, we're primed, like we're good, we're ready to go. So I started looking for any shorts, right? My 30-minute engulfing, 5-minute second stage redistribution with the 30-minute engulfing, 15-minute for value gap, and then I have been liking these 5-minute inverse for value gaps. So here on the dollar, there's no change in the state of delivery, right? Like we didn't have a for value gap cut through. But what I was looking at right when London opened was this 5-minute candle. I was on this 5-minute candle right here. And as I was looking at this, I was like, okay, we're coming from this low. And I was going back and forth, and I saw DXY had taken this high. And then Euro had not taken its low, but then the pound had taken its low. So automatically my thought process was like, okay, this is like the cherry on top with my direction, like telling me I am correct. And on top of that, it's also showing that Euro, in fact, is so bullish that it's not even willing to take that low, right? So as I was seeing this candle close and cut through this for value gap, I honestly didn't even realize that dollar hadn't had a change in the state delivery, which is fine, I guess. I mean, I don't really think that's a part of my rules or that changes anything rules-wise. But anyways, so that ended up happening, and then we made this 5-minute for value gap. And I told myself, I was like, okay, this is a more risky entry, right? Like I've entered like this before in the past, these inverse for value gap entries, right? And like first stage distribution kind of a thing. It is more risky, and because of that, I'm going to be a little bit more greedy. Even though it's only a difference of a tick, I decided that instead of entering off of this 5-minute for value gap, I'm going to enter off of the inverse, right? Just to get a little bit more of a greedy entry. So I ended up entering off that, and then I'll go into the targets. But one thing that I noticed when going over my entry in the last video I had just made a few minutes ago, is that this wick ended up tapping into this order block. And I was listening to, like on Spotify, how people will record like ICT Twitter spaces and like trader roundups from Kit and stuff, and like and repost them. I was listening to one. It was like the most recent one, pretty much, or the third most recent one. I don't even know, but they were talking about. It was a trader roundup with Kit. I forgot what his actual tag is, but apparently, because I didn't actually watch the ICT video, but they were talking about this ICT video that had just released, and it was mainly focusing on quadrants. And then apparently they also talked about true order blocks. And from my understanding, a true order block from ICT's definition is, in this scenario, right, a bullish scenario, a true order block is the last down closed candle after a change in the state of delivery, right? So this candle that is highlighted is technically the true order block, which, I mean, you see the precision right here. Like, that's literally wicking the opening price of it, the start of the order block, and then it just leaves. Like, that is wild. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so my entry on the inverse, and then stop loss was obviously at the overall low. And I was targeting these relative equal highs right here as low-hanging fruit. But then there was also a 1 hour inverse for value gap here, and then a 30-minute for value gap here. These were also targets as well. And I told myself that as price was getting closer to my low-hanging fruit objective, which was one tick past it was 1 to 1.67. Remember, because I made a 6-7 joke, that if price was slowing down by the time it took this low, then I was just going to close it pretty much right here, just to tick past it. And I didn't want to close it under 1 to 1.5 because that's just, I don't like anything less than a 1 to 1.5. But if it was speeding up and it was carrying speed, then I was going to let it go and probably manually close it in here, is what I was saying. So price did end up speeding through, and then it got up around this level and was just bouncing around like this between 20 and 15. And then it ended up wicking it, went in once more, I think, to the 50% of this 1 hour inverse for value gap, and then it made a giant wick lower. And then it was hovering around 20 to 15 again. And then I was like, okay, if it hits 910, then I'm just going to close it. And then as I said that, it did. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'm just going to close it. So I closed it for 1 to 1.8. And then obviously price continued going, which would have been a total of 1 to 4.25 R. But I don't even care. Also, another thing I forgot to mention was the reason why I only made 0.5% was because I was risking like slightly over 1/4%, because now that I passed the evaluation, I'm on an express count. They limited the amount of contracts I can use until I have a cushion, like a big of profits on my account, so I can use more contracts. So I'm limited to 2 as of right now. And then when I get more profits, then I'll be able to use more contracts and go back to risking my usual 1%. So because of that, this trade, like I said, was only risking 0.3%, and then I made 0.5 off this, and yeah, pretty good trade. I think I covered everything I wanted to. Yeah, that's pretty much it.